Who is Steve Harvey? If you watch the game show Family Feud, you surely know the host of the show, Broderick Stephen Harvey, aka Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey is an American television host, comedian, actor, broadcaster, author, game show host, and businessman. Since 2015 he hosts the Steve Harvey Morning Show, the Celebrity Family Feud, and Miss Universe competitions. Steve Harvey worked as a comedian at the beginning of his career. In the early 1980s, he hosted shows like Showtime at the Apollo and The Steve Harvey Show on the WB. Later, Steve, the comedian, was a star in the original Kings of Comedy after appearing in the Kings of Comedy tour. He performed his last stand-up show in 2012. Since 2010, Harvey has been hosting both shows, Family Feud and Celebrity Family Feud. Additionally, he hosted other shows such as Little Big Shots Forever, and Steve Harvey's Funderdome. Aside from being a great actor, Steve Harvey is also an amazing author with 4 books to his credit. Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man is one of his best-selling books, which was published in March 2009. Harvey established Steve Harvey Global, an entertainment company, in 2017, which houses his production company and various other ventures. Steve Harvey launched Family Feud in African version, and also invested in the HDNet takeover. He also invested in Anthem Sports and Entertainment. Steve and his wife, Marjorie Harvey, are also into charity. They have founded a non-profit organization, the Steve and Marjorie Foundation, which motivates youth for better education. The net worth of Steve Harvey as of 2021 is approximately $200 million. Steve Harvey childhood and education. Broderick Stephen Harvey was born on January 17, 1957, in Welch, West Virginia. He is the youngest son among his siblings. Broderick's name is derived from the actor Broderick Crawford, who starred in the Highway Patrol television series. Steve's family had a very tough time back then. Jesse Harvey, Steve's father's income was derived from coal mining, which provided a sustainable livelihood for the whole family. His mother's Eloise Vera was a homemaker. Steve's family moved to Cleveland when he was little. In 1974, he graduated from Glenville High School. Later he attended Kent State University, and then moved back to West Virginia to complete his further education at West Virginia University. He was also a member of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity. Harvey spent his early 20s working various jobs: insurance salesman, postman, even professional boxer, while searching for something that seemed to be his purpose in life. After performing stand-up comedy for the first time in 1985, he realized how good he was on stage. In 1997, he was devastated as his mother, Eloise Harvey, died of a stroke. An emotional segment titled Things My Mom Taught Me was aired in 2013, in which Steve paid a tearful tribute to his mother. When he regained his composure, he continued to cry and took a long pause before answering the questions. On this show, he said that he hoped he had made her proud. It was one of the most emotional moments of the show. In 2014, Steve Harvey was diagnosed with chronic lymphocytic leukemia, CLL, for which he underwent treatments like chemotherapy and radiation therapy for over a year. However, Harvey's battle with cancer did not end after that. After no longer showing CLL symptoms, Harvey was diagnosed with squamous cell carcinoma, a form of skin cancer. He was able to recover from the disease after few years of immunotherapy treatment. Steve Harvey personality traits. Steve Harvey is an American by nationality and comes from an African American background. Since he was born on January 17, his sun sign lies under Capricorn. As a Capricorn, Steve is well known for his intelligence, discipline, and loyalty. Likewise, Harvey is also a social butterfly and an empathetic, warm-hearted person who is highly aware of others' needs and support. Steve weighs 196 pounds 88.9 kilograms and stands 6'2" inches, 1.88 m, tall. He is famous for his signature bald head, and he has a pair of dark brown eyes. Steve Harvey relationships. Steve Harvey and Marcia Harvey. Steve Harvey met his first wife, Marcia Harvey, at a mutual friend's reception party. During that time, Steve was working as an insurance salesman. Marcia and Harvey hit it off immediately, and they ended up getting married in 1980. Through their marriage, the couple share 3 children, twin daughters Carly and Brandy, and son Broderick Harvey Jr. Despite having a stable and growing family, both Steve and Marcia started experiencing instability in their marriage after Steve began his career and started getting recognized for being a famous comedian. Several people also criticized him for abandoning his wife and his children for his career and ambition. The couple separated when Marcia was still pregnant with their 3rd child in 1990. Steve and Marcia finalized their divorce in 1994 due to alleged infidelity, as Steve was already living with his 2nd wife, Mary Lee Harvey, before divorcing Marcia. Steve and Mary Lee Harvey. Mary Lee, a professional makeup artist, is the 2nd wife of Steve Harvey. Her relationship is not less than a romantic movie with all the drama, love, and tragedy. With that relationship, Steve made her famous among the public, and the associated controversies heightened her fame and attracted millions of viewers from around the globe. They first met in Arlington, Texas, when Steve was still performing as a stand-up comedian in 1989. Steve met Mary Lee just after his divorce from his first wife, Marcia Harvey. Fans and people close to Steve were stunned by Steve's quick transition from a divorcee to a new relationship. To make things even more exciting, Steve and Mary Lee got married within a year after dating for 1 year. Steve Harvey and Mary Lee got married on June 21, 1996. On July 18, 1997, they welcomed their first child. The couple got separated in 2005, shortly after their son's birth. In 2011, Steve became the guardian of Winton Harvey after gaining a legal custody order. It was widely reported that Mary Lee and Steve Harvey separated due to various reasons. Mary Lee accused Harvey not only of being unfaithful, but also of abusing her physically and mentally. As Steve had a reputation to maintain, things got dangerous and worse for him. Steve went to the court to take legal action against Mary after hearing all the damaging and false allegations against him. This claim was false since there was no evidence to support her claim. While Steve won possession of his son, Mary received the mansion and the welfare payments, the latter of which lasted for a total period of 4 years. Steve and Marjorie Harvey. Steve married Marjorie on June 25, 2007, after dating her for 2 years. Steve and his wife, Marjorie Elaine Harvey, first met 15 years before their marriage. They met in 1990 at a comedy club in Memphis, Tennessee, when they first fell in love. Marjorie was there to watch Steve's performance, and Steve was there to perform for his audience. Steve had an intense crush on this beauty when he first saw her. Marjorie's seat was in the front row, but she arrived late. Suddenly, he went from being annoyed with her about being late into something romantic. Despite his fear of rejection, Steve even stood up and walked up to her, talking to her. Since Steve considers himself an expert in manhood, it would not be unreasonable for him to say some flirtatious words. He revealed in an interview how he first spoke with Marjorie. He said, "The first time I saw my wife, Marjorie, I was doing stand-up in Memphis, and she was sitting in the front row. Afterward, I walked up and said, 'Ma'am, I'm going to marry you one day.' And 15 years later, I did." According to Steve, Marjorie and Steve are 2 happy people living together. They share their days, their experiences, hold each other, and support each other. Steve believes Marjorie to be the great partner he was looking for his entire life. It is quite common to see them traveling together to different places. Many people spot them on their yachts during festive periods and on holidays. Despite being split as individuals into several levels, Steve and Marjorie are now a strong couple. Marjorie also had 2 failed marriages before she met Steve. Her former husband, Jim Townsend, was a drug dealer in Memphis. After being arrested and sentenced to life in prison, Jim Townsend served 26 years before he was pardoned. Marjorie hasn't spoken to him in over 8 years. Darnell Woods, her second husband, was also prominent in the drug trade. It has been rumored that Darnell is a cousin to her first husband. Moreover, Darnell and his twin brother were imprisoned for the supply of marijuana and cocaine from Houston to Memphis. Steve Harvey children. Through his 3 marriages, Steve Harvey has been able to create a beautiful blended family. He shares 2 twin daughters and a son named Brandy, Carly, and Broderick Harvey with Marcia Harvey. He has a son named Winton Harvey through his second marriage with Mary Lee Harvey. Likewise, after marrying Marjorie in 2007, he adopted all 3 of her children, 2 daughters named Morgan and Lori, and a son named Jason Harvey. Thus, through his marriage with Marjorie, the pair became a family of 9. All 7 of Steve's children are ambitious and driven, just like their father. One of his twin daughters, Brandy Harvey, is the founder of a website called Beyond Her. The company has an online meal prep website that works to bring active wellness to women of color in collaborative and transformative ways to elevate their minds, body, and spirit. Likewise, Steve's second twin daughter Carly Harvey is a public speaker who works as a mentor through the Harvey and Marjorie Foundation. On the other hand, Harvey's son, Broderick Harvey, is the owner of a clothing line called Need Money Not Friends. Similarly, Steve's son, Winton Harvey, who comes from his second marriage, is an aspiring photographer who often shares his work with high-profile celebrities on his social media. Steve's adopted children through Marjorie Harvey are equally talented as his biological children. Marjorie's elder daughter Morgan is a pastry chef who has a baking and pastry degree from the Culinary Institute of America. Their other son Jason is the owner of a women's luxury footwear company called Yevra, which, when spelled backward, is Harvey. Finally, Steve and Marjorie's youngest daughter Lori Harvey is a well-known model who has appeared in famous magazines like Vogue. Furthermore, Lori has previously also walked for Dolce & Gabbana for their fall 2017 Fashion Week. Career of Steve. As mentioned above, before discovering his talent as a comedian, Steve Harvey spent most of his early 20s working on several jobs like working as an insurance salesman, postman, and even wannabe professional boxer. However, he found his real passion while performing stand-up comedy on stage for the first time in 1985. At the initial stage, Harvey performed in small clubs for several years. His career finally started when he made it to the second annual Johnny Walker National Comedy Search Finals in 1989. After the competition, Steve's career took off, and he slowly started to get the recognition he deserves. In 1993, he was given the title of host for the Showtime at the Apollo, a variety show filmed at Harlem's legendary Apollo Theater. He worked at the theater for the show until 2000. Since his hosting duties in Showtime at the Apollo, Steve also got offered his sitcom, called The Steve Harvey Show, in the WB network in 1996. The show gained several following mainly by African American audience, and stayed in the air until 2002. Around 1999, Harvey also went on a tour called The Kings of Comedy with Cedric the Entertainer, Bernie Mann, and D.L. Hughley. The Kings Comedy gained the highest-grossing comedy tour status ever to date in the United States in 1999. According to sources, Harvey and his 3 sidekicks could rake more than $19 million from the tour. However, hosting shows and conducting tours was just the beginning of Steve's career, as by 2000, he launched his own daily talk radio show, called The Steve Harvey Morning Show. Through the show, Harvey became a prominent radio personality, as it gained national syndication, and even on several stations across the country. Steve also hosted a short-lived reality show contest called Steve Harvey's Big Time. The show aired through WB from 2003 to 2005. Apart from hosting for shows, Steve also acted in a minor role in 2003 for the movie The Fighting Temptations. After the movie, he later went on to play larger supporting parts in movies like You Got Served, 2004, Johnson Family Vacation, 2004, and a voice actor for an animated movie called Racing Stripes, 2005. Currently, Steve is hosting a popular game show called Family Feud in 2010, where he replaces John O'Hurley. Family Feud is a game show where 2 families compete to name the most popular responses to questions to win attractive cash and prizes. Steve also launched another daytime talk show called Steve Harvey in 2012. The show did quite well among the audience, leading it to win awards like Daytime Emmy Awards and an NAACP Image Awards. In 2017, Harvey ended The Steve Harvey Show and hosted another new talk show called Steve, where he focused more on celebrity guests than talking to human interest stories like on his previous shows. Steve has also hosted the Miss Universe pageant in 2015, 2017, and 2018. Likewise, he also hosted a children's program called Little Big Shots from 2016 to 2019. After hosting the show for 3 years, 3 was replaced by Melissa McCarthy as a host. Apart from hosting shows and acting in movies, Steve Harvey has also written several books. His books' themes were mainly related to relationship advice, which included Harvey's blunt, comedic approach to self-help. His books like Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man, 2009, and its follow-up, Straight Talk, No Chaser, 2010, also made the bestseller list. The movie Think Like a Man, which was released in 2012, is based on Harvey's book Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. Steve Harvey net worth. Today, Steve Harvey's net worth stands at $200 million. He was able to earn such an amount by hosting several shows, doing stand-up comedies, acting in movies, and even authoring books. According to various sources, Steve earned $45 million from 2017 to 2018 and 2018 to 2019. Likewise, he also earns at least $10 million from his hosting duties from Family Feud each year, and another $20 million from his radio hosting shows. Steve Controversies. In 2015, which hosting Miss Universe in Los Angeles, Steve Harvey had made a significant blunder while announcing the pageant's winner. Harvey had mistakenly announced the wrong person the winner before correcting himself and declaring Miss Philippines as the winner. In 2017, Harvey made jokes on his show Steve Harvey about Asian men. He said, "Excuse me, do you like Asian men? No, thank you. I don't even like Chinese food." His comments had gathered several criticisms, where many called him a hypocrite for speaking about issues facing the black community while degrading Asians. His all social media handle in the description. Thanks for watching our video. Please subscribe to our channel to get notification of new video.